Welcome back, or for those joining us for the first time today, welcome. I'm Brian Trainer, UC DAAP class of 2007 with a BS ARC. This morning was fun start to DAAPX, covering a variety of topics from the creation of a net zero home in rural Iowa. I believe that was Autumna, Iowa, where Radar O'Reilly is from, to youth engagement in urban design. If you missed any of our speakers, the recordings will be available in the coming days. So as a reminder, please feel free to use the chat box in reaction to the presentations to connect with each other. While there'll be no formal question and answer, if you have one for our speakers, pop it in there and we'll be sure to connect you with the speakers after the event. So first up for our afternoon session, we have Adam Feld. Adam teaches the third year industrial design sequence at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, where he recently received the Industrial Designers Society of America Young Educator of the Year Award. So congratulations. He has his associates from Sinclair Community College in visual communication, a bachelor's from The Ohio State in industrial design, and a master's of design from DAAP, and lives in Carencro, Louisiana with his wife and 2 kids. He loves snowboarding, skateboarding, and aggressive inline, all of which he's done for 20 years. Now, with sponsored projects can be a bunch of bull. Here's Adam. Adam, take it away.
Thank you very much. Yes, my name is Adam. I am the Master of Design 2013, and I teach third year at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. And today we're going to talk to you about bicycle bags. Now, when you think about Lafayette, or think about Louisiana, you probably think about Mardi Gras, hurricanes, and heat. Now, since I moved down from Ohio to Louisiana, I've learned a few things. Number one, Mardi Gras is not just a day, but an entire season. People actually go and decorate their doors and buy trees and everything. Alligators are not in everybody's backyard. However, we do have a swamp on campus with alligators in it. And that my school is actually the bad school from the water boy. Although we are more like the mud dogs, but we are listed as the bad school. Now, since I've come to UL, I've had the ability to use the skills that I learned at UC to into my classroom and help the students with their sketching, 3D modeling, and rapid prototyping, all to be able to combine those into really strong projects ready for employment. And in speaking of projects, we're going to talk about today's topic, which is sponsored projects can be a bunch of bull. Now, not this kind of bull, but this kind of bull. So in this project, 21 students were tasked or were partnered with Red Bull and a local company called Chop Industries to design a bicycle bag for this guy, Terry Adams. He's a professional flatland BMX rider who travels all over the world. 1,200 flights in the last 10 years, for example. And each way, he has to spend $150 to travel with his bike. When things like golf clubs go for free. This is his current bicycle bag, insufficient for his needs. And so the class was tasked with designing a TSA safe travel bicycle bag containing or making it appear that it contains golf clubs and make it protect special items and ultimately make it look cool. So one of the big things about this project was every milestone, every big presentation that we had or assignment that we had ended up having either professional Red Bull or professional, the Chop Industries review. So where do we begin? So we start with understanding the different parts and pieces, the anatomy of a bicycle. We understand, or we had to learn how Terry took his bike apart and how he actually put it back together, finding out at this time that sometimes he was not in the most sober ways to put his bike back together. We also had to understand how the TSA regulations on doing large bags. We looked at what are the different partners that Red Bull currently had on the market. And we also started to define what would our mood like to be? What would our style like to be for this project? And with all that information, we started our ideation sketching. We did a lot of sketching, a lot of different ideas out there, refined sketching. And once we had our refined sketching, we started with our first professional review. We had Patty Dunn from Chop Industries come give us a lecture on soft goods designing. And then we had the fortune of having her come and review all of the students' bags or the students' designs. With that, we had the ability to figure out parts and pieces, and then what would work best for our next round of sketch, which would be our renders. We all created renders for the project, and then we ended up developing a package for Terry that we would send to him, and each person would do 5 renders. We'd number them on the page, and he wasn't able to be in person for this review, so we had a phone conversation with him, and we sat down and had the ability to discuss with him, and he would be able to say, you know, I like 4, I like 5, I think you should combine 1 and 3. And with that information, we took that to the translation from 2-dimensional sketch to orthographic view drawings and the beginning of translating into 3 dimensions. Those orthographics led to small mock-ups, which gave us the ability to have our local professionals come back in and give us another review on each of our designs and different tips and tricks on manufacturing some good projects. In addition, it led us to the development of our pattern so that these could be made in real life. And then we built larger mock-ups. Now, real quick, before we get going, this was made in craft paper. Craft paper gave us a slight bit of the same materiality as our final design would be, but it was less expensive for the students. So for our final project, or the final presentation, we had the ability to present to Terry, talk about the attributes of our bag. Some of them made full-scale bags. Some people made quarter-scale bags. And 21 students, again, designed a bag for Terry. At that presentation, that final presentation, we pared it down to 4 students. And those 4 students were going to make that bag a reality. And so now here's where the real work began. So to begin this project, this new version, we had to start from this quarter scale mock-up to a 47-inch tall bag that would actually hold a bicycle. We started figuring out what the parts and pieces would actually be like in real physical reality. We looked at volumetric studies and literally were trimming the fat so that we would have the ability to reduce the amount of materials needed. We also worked on new different types of rendering and new different attribute or looks of the bag. We figured out the different attributes, how we wanted them to be made and what they would be made of. And then we got into sewing ourselves, making up little mock-ups so that we had an idea of what we were doing. At the end of the project, when we had all that, we were really fortunate to be able to travel to New Orleans and go to Chop Industries and build this bag physically. We sewed it up, and it was an 18-hour day. And yes, it did rain about 10 inches that day. So it was flooded when we were trying to leave the shop. And then at the end, we had the ability to present it to Terry. Now, this was a really big thing for him because he had been riding bicycles for 20 years, and this was a 20-year dream in the making. He finally had his bag. We got super great reception for it because everybody wanted the bag when he started going back to contests. And it was a great opportunity for the students to be able to find out what it would be like to take a project from a pencil line sketch all the way to this fully actualized product. And that is Sponsored Projects Can Be a Bunch of Bull. Again, my name is Adam Feld, and I would like to thank you all for your time.
Well, Adam, thank you for your time and your presentation. That's something that speaks to my soul as a former BMX biker that wrecked a lot. That sounds actually like a really fun project. So that's exciting to get to see that from beginning to end. Through prototyping and how that worked with school. It felt like coming back to school. That's a project I'd love.
Terrific. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.